A Closer Look is a series on my blog which spotlights young men and women in the world of media, business, and other creative pursuits. This segment shares their story, experiences, and is geared to inspire and help others on similar journeys. In this episode, I got the chance to speak with Yasmin A., a young traveler filled with wanderlust.
So Indonesia was first, Bali. That was like my dream. After that, I got back home and I was like, Hawaii doesn't count, but honestly, it's not a part of America. It's a whole country itself. And then Mexico, Morocco, Colombia, Amsterdam, so the Netherlands, London. I feel like I'm missing a few. Spain. I might be missing some. But that's all that's coming to me right now. I look for countries where the American dollar is worth more. So I did a lot of research. In Bali, our dollar goes a long way in Bali. Like you get an hour full body massage for $5, and then you can tip them another $5, and they're like super happy, like, oh my goodness, this is so much money, you know? So I decided to take my like $200 that I had in cash and like go live the life over there. And then I bought the kids like ice cream every day after school, and they'd be so like happy. They think I was super rich, but really it was, no, I'm just as broke as you guys are, as you are in America. But that's how I picked the countries. And then budgeting wise, so I have this thing where if I get paid $500, say I get paid $570, I will take the $500 of my paycheck and put that into my travel costs, and that $70 is what I'm using for the next 2 weeks. Under no circumstances can I dip my fund into that emergency $500 because that's for traveling. So that $70 will be spread out for 2 weeks until I get paid again. So when I got to Mexico, I didn't know anything about hostels. I just knew about hotels. You know, that was the method of traveling. And I already booked a hotel for like $400. It was like $200 a night. And that was a lot. By like the second night, I was almost broke, you know? And I was like, oh, this hotel is great and everything, but I can't do it. And then I went on this like excursion, and I met these girls from like Germany, Australia, one from Canada. And they were like, oh, we're staying at this hostel right down the road. And I was like, a hostel? What's that? And then they explained it to me, like hostelworld.com. It's like the cheapest way to like travel, you know, especially for kids our age. Like, well, if you're studying or if you're working, you know, single. I remember hearing that hostels are so dangerous. That's how people get kidnapped, you know, all this stuff. But these girls look so cool and like chill, and they were just like, yeah, come through. And so that same night, I canceled the next day at my hotel. Didn't get all my money back, which sucked, but whatever. The hostel was like $10 a night. And so I went from $200 to $10 a night, and I shared a bed, like a bedroom, with 2 other girls, and it had AC, it had, you know, a shower with hot water, it had a pool, and it had other people. If you were traveling alone, other people were also traveling alone that you can travel with and get to know them, and who knows, you might meet the love of your life or your new best friend or just some good lifelong travel buddies. Willie P was like, you want to volunteer? Like $6,000 for a volunteer trip. But I ended up doing so much research on my own. Like, there's got to be a cheaper way to travel and volunteer, and to help people, it shouldn't cost that much, especially if you're a college student, you know? So I found IVHQ, another huge advocate for that. And they were the cheapest, I'm telling you, Fatima, the cheapest volunteer organization that I found. And then they pay for your stay and you know, your food, your transportation while you're with them, and you're basically donating this money to the organization. You know, it's not just going in their pockets. And that's how my traveling started. After that, I couldn't stop. I was on a high. Like, I had to see more. I had to see more. Oh my God, there's 195 countries. There's no way God put all this here on earth for me to sit around and just go to school. Post-college, now I knew I wanted to keep traveling. But now, like, it's like adult life. You have to get a job, like a full-time job. And so I kept trying to figure out, like, how can I keep traveling and still make money and pay off my loans? Oh my God, my loans are like so stressful. So I did my internship with a nonprofit right in Patterson. I talked to them and I told them, like, mid-interview, I was like, all right, I got my first job post-college. And I told them how much I love traveling and stuff. And they were like, oh yeah, you could totally travel while working with us. Our job is mostly based on your hours. So you had to complete 1,800 hours or 700 hours within a year. And I was just like, in my head, like the wheels started spinning. I was like, oh my goodness, I could travel so much and still make money. And when you're done with the year of service, they pay off a good chunk of your loans. So that was great. Every time I got back, it was a nonprofit, so it wasn't paying enough. And I think after college, that was my biggest struggle because you're not living in a college dorm anymore. Now you have bills to pay, car insurance and all that, phone bills. Everything now is coming out of my pocket, so I needed the extra cash. So I went into the psychiatric hospital as a part-time, and that helped pay extra bills. The part-time job that I was working at the psych offered me a full-time, and I took it. I was like, you know what? I think I might have to put traveling on hold just because I need to be smarter about my future. Like, I know traveling is so great and like it makes you feel good and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I think my best advice for anyone, start traveling when you're young and you don't have these payments and your parents are helping you out and life hasn't hit you yet, Just everything from the moment you get onto the flight and you're like, oh, I'm finally leaving reality behind, like the stresses of American life, if that makes sense. And then when you get there, that feeling of like, oh my God, this is a whole new culture. I'm about to learn so much new stuff and I'm not going to get graded on it. You know what I mean? Like when you go to class and you're like, oh, I'm about to learn so much new stuff, but if I don't really memorize this stuff, I'm going to fail. And then the gratification that you get from like, wow, you're about to leave your mark with whoever you meet here. Like, at least you'll take something away from them and they'll take something away from you. That's probably the best feeling. And then if it's for a volunteer trip, it's the connection that I have with the kids. Like, I really, or even just the women. I've worked with women also, and like, oh my God, you build this relationship and then you think about them for like the rest of your life and you wonder like, what are they doing now? And like, you think about going back and like sneaking up on them while they're working and like saying, surprise, I'm back, In Bali and Africa, like those, anywhere that I go to volunteer, I feel like I get more out of the trip. Not just like relationship wise, but with what I teach the kids, like I can't explain it. Like, oh my gosh, especially Africa. Like, I really fell in love with these kids. Like, I was ready to adopt them and put them in my luggage and take them back home with me. And these kids, oh my God, they were so beautiful. Like, I can't explain like how beautiful they were. Even mentally, like I feel they were so smart and strong, and like they were so eager to like learn. Like from these American teachers, from me and Klein, like, come on, what else you got? We're so excited to learn. And in Bali, like these kids, they wanted to get to know me, not just as their teacher, like, and see like what I wanted to teach them. They wanted to know, so what is it that you like to do? And like that threw me off so much. So I remember telling them like, one of the biggest reasons I came to Bali was because you guys have all the most amazing fruits in the world, and like I'm crazy about fruits. I love mangoes, rambutan, and I started listing like all the fruits that they're known for. And on my last day teaching there, these kids, they all came up to me and they were like, we're gonna miss you so much. They handed me like a bunch of like drawings that they did of me holding their hands, like Miss Yasmin, teacher Yasmin. It was so cute. And then a bunch of bags of fruit, like each one of them handed. And when I tell you, like, I started crying, I was sobbing, like, oh my goodness, I love fruit so much. And they remembered, and like they were just so kind. They were so sweet. And these are little kids, they're kindergartners. For them to like do something like that means so much to me. And then I asked them, you guys know I can't take this fruit back with me to the States. Like the airport, they're gonna catch me, it's immigration, blah, blah, customs. And they sat there like they were so serious about like, all right, we got to figure out a way how she can get these fruits back to America. So they all started like, throwing out ideas. And then one of them, like, I wore my combat boots, And they were like, you know, you could put the mangoes inside your combat boots. They'll never catch you. And honestly, like, it was so silly, but I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. I'll put them inside my shoes. Like, I had my sneakers, my combat boots. And if they catch me, they catch me, whatever. At least I tried. I got to the airport here at Kennedy, and I'm going through, like, you know, the checkpoint or whatever. And the security stops me and he's like, are you traveling alone? And I was like, yes, I went to go volunteer in Bali, but it's just me with 2 luggages. Like, I know it's a ton of clothes. I did a lot of shopping. You know, I was like trying to be ditzy or whatever. Like, please don't check my luggage. Please don't check my luggage. And then I got home and I handed out the mangoes to like my friends and my family, and it was really cute. And so when I was eating them, like, I thought of my kids, like, damn, I miss those kids so much. They made me realize like how good it feels to stay true to myself and to learn things about people. Disadvantage of that is safety. It is more dangerous traveling alone, and I definitely got Mexico was like the highlight. Like, I learned everything while traveling in Mexico about traveling by yourself. It gets dangerous because, especially as a girl, you know, it's already, your chances of something bad happening are already higher. But if you're smart, you would stay, you know, public areas. I didn't go anywhere unless I had somebody with me, even if it was like to the corner bodega or whatever. Oh wait, it's not called a bodega. I remember when I went to Mexico, they had no idea what I was talking about. If I went to the corner, I would take somebody with me. Advantages, oh, there's so many. Like, it's great because, I mean, not that it's bad. I have traveled with friends, and sometimes you clash heads about like, no, I want to do this, no, I want to do this, and then what you want to do kind of gets lost, and then you guys butt heads of like, no, whose idea are we gonna go with? We only have like 4 hours left. Like, what should we do? But if you're by yourself, it's like, hey, I can do whatever I want to do, you know? And then sometimes you end up meeting somebody else in the hostel who also says like, hey, I want to do this too. And then you're like, oh my God, let's go. And then you end up not being alone, and you get to meet somebody who does want to do what you want to do. Another advantage, meeting new people. I truly can say I met one of my soulmates. Like, I believe that we don't have one specific soulmate, that we have like tons, you know, like somebody we really connect to on another level, and we relate to them about different things. You know, you got your love of your life soulmate, and then you got your best friend soulmate. My little brother is one of my soulmates. So I met one of my really close friends, Laura, in Bali on one of my first trips, and so we usually end up meeting once a year now. Like, she comes to visit me, or I'll meet her somewhere. Usually for the past 2 years, she comes to me. I still kept volunteering, but in America, like in town and local organizations, and I still got the same joy from it, but it wasn't the same. Like, I wasn't learning new cultures and whatnot. But I realized that I still needed to find myself doing things at home, saving money. And then I met some people, and I got into hiking, and hiking was great, like to get to the top of whatever mountain you're climbing and seeing this amazing view. It did feel like I was traveling. I was at home, but I was still traveling somewhere and seeing this beautiful view. But I think the most important thing for my downtime was to do, I don't know how to explain this, was to do things where I can incorporate culture, I guess you could say. So I started taking my family with me to do these things. I was introducing them to American culture, and that became like my new hobby, my new downtime. So I started taking them kayaking and camping and hiking with me, you know, and they were just like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. Like, you know, I was teaching them something, and at the same time they were teaching me like how to appreciate the stuff we have at home, you know, in America. And of course, my normal, you know, going out with friends, living in the city, and just being free, like free. I've had this rule in my life, like, don't let money stop you from enjoying your life. And I know as an adult, I think especially with the amount of loans I have, I learned firsthand how like money can hold you back from living your life. Don't stress it. Give as much as you can, but try to keep a little for yourself to enjoy it too. Yeah, I think that's how I enjoy my downtime.
That was really good.
Thanks. Yay, it's over. Oh gosh, that's so nerve-wracking.